The mistake the stars were calm, shining quietly across the black sky of space. The small human scouting ship moved carefully between the stars. It was a sleek, fast ship, with just 5 people on board. Their mission was simple: explore the edge of human space and report any dangers. They were far from Earth, near the border of the Emperor's territory. Captain James held the controls with steady hands. He was calm but alert. His crew trusted him, but even they could feel the tension in the air. The Emperor's soldiers were known to be ruthless and powerful. One wrong move could mean death. Suddenly, the ship's sensors picked up a large fleet. Ahead, James squinted at the radar screen. "What is that?" he asked quietly. Lieutenant Maya checked the data. "It's an Imperial fleet, at least 50 warships. They're moving fast, coming this way." James' heart beat faster. "We need to be careful. Do not show our position." But it was too late. The fleet's massive warships suddenly appeared all around them, blocking every escape route. Huge cannons turned toward the tiny human ship. The alarm sounded loudly. "Enemy weapons locked on us?" shouted the engineer. Tom. James took a deep breath, raised the white flag. "We do not want to fight." The humans had only small weapons and shields. Fighting 50 warships was impossible. The Imperial fleet fired a warning shot that rocked their ship. The humans raised the white flag, hoping for mercy. But the fleet did not stop. Minutes later, beams of energy hit the ship's engines and weapons. Sparks flew. The human ship shook. "We're hit. Shields down to 30%, shouted Maya. James tried to send a message to the fleet. "This is a scout ship. We are not a threat. Please stand down." No reply came. Suddenly, a large ship sent a tractor beam to trap the small ship. The human ship was pulled closer. James' face was serious. "They think we are an enemy flagship." Maya's eyes widened. "But we are not. We were just scouting." The humans realized the terrible mistake. The Emperor's fleet thought this small ship was their enemy. The real enemy ship was somewhere else, and now the humans were caught in the middle. James looked at the crew. "Prepare for capture. We will send a distress signal. Maybe someone will come to help." Tom started working on the communication system. "I'm sending an emergency message to Earth Command. They need to know we've been captured by mistake." The message was short and urgent. "We were attacked. Not the enemy ship. Need immediate help. 5,000 Imperial soldiers incoming." While the humans waited, tension grew. The crew sat quietly, listening to the hum of the engines and the distant sounds of the fleet. Then, the message was received. The Emperor's army sent a warning to their captain. "Prepare your forces. The humans have been captured. 5,000 soldiers will arrive soon." James heard this from the intercepted message. "They are sending reinforcements. 5,000 soldiers. And their captain will lead them." Maya's voice shook. 5,000? How can we fight that? We have only 5 people. James stood up. "We don't have to fight them. We need to be smart. If we can buy time, Earth Command will send help." The small ship was pulled into a large hangar on the Imperial flagship. The crew was taken to a holding cell. Inside, the walls were cold and dark. The humans sat quietly, thinking. Outside, the footsteps of the Emperor's soldiers echoed in the hall. James looked at his crew. "We made a mistake, but we will survive this. We are humans." Maya smiled weakly. "Humans don't give up." Hours passed. The sounds of heavy ships landing filled the air. Outside the cell, James heard orders being given. 5,000 soldiers are arriving. The captain will be here soon." The humans prepared themselves for the worst. But hope was still alive. James whispered to the others. "We stopped the wrong ship. But soon The real battle will begin. The stars outside shone cold and bright. The humans were trapped, but their spirit was unbroken. The mistake was made, but the story was far from over. Asterisk the warning ignored, far away. In the grand halls of the Emperor's warship, the Council of Commanders gathered. Their faces were cold, proud and full of confidence. The message from the fleet was clear: humans had been caught, but the real enemy ship had escaped. Commander Varric, a tall and stern man, slammed his fist on the table. This is a trap. The humans want us to waste time on a small scouting ship. We must not fall for their games. Another commander nodded. We have stronger forces ready. We will send 5,000 soldiers led by Captain Kale. They will crush any resistance. Despite the warnings from some who wished to be cautious, the council ignored the distress signal sent by the humans pleading their innocence. They must pay. For defying us, said Varric, no mercy. Meanwhile, aboard the captured ship, James and his crew waited nervously. The cell was quiet, but every sound outside made their hearts race. Maya whispered, "Do you think Earth will send help?" James looked at the dim light coming from the small window. "I hope so. We have little time." Suddenly, loud footsteps approached. Heavy boots, the sound of weapons locking, and voices filled the corridor. The door opened. A soldier with a cruel smile stepped in. "You will be judged by the Emperor's will." James stood slowly, trying to hide his fear. "We were scouting only. We mean no harm." The soldier laughed. "Your words do not matter. Soon, Captain Kale and his army will decide your fate." Outside, the warship shuddered as more soldiers arrived. The human ship was not just a prize, it was the key to a larger battle. Back at the council, the preparations continued. The arrival of the 5,000 soldiers was near, and their captain was ready to show his strength. But unknown to the council, the humans had already discovered a secret. The Emperor's soldiers, though strong, had a hidden weakness that no one had. Notice James whispered to his crew, "We must find it before Captain Kale arrives." Maya nodded. It might be our only chance. The tension grew as the warship moved closer to the border where the real enemy waited. The mistake had been made, but the consequences were only beginning. Would the humans survive the coming storm? Or would the Emperor's soldiers crush them all? The answer lay in the next battle, where courage, wit, and hope would be tested like never before. Asterisk. Preparing for war, the human crew sat in their cold cell, but their minds were racing. Captain James knew that waiting quietly meant death. They had to act and fast. James whispered, "We can't just wait for rescue. We have to prepare." Maya looked around. "But we're prisoners. How can we fight from here?" Tom, the engineer, smiled faintly. "Maybe we don't have to. I've been listening to their systems. The Emperor's soldiers have one big secret. They depend too much on their technology." James nodded slowly. "Tell us more." Tom leaned in, lowering his voice. "Their suits are strong, but they are powered by energy cells. If we can cut their power or disrupt their signals, they will lose their advantage. They are skilled fighters, but not used to fighting without tech." Maya's eyes shone. "We can use that. If we escape, we can target their power." James smiled. "Good thinking, but first, we need to get out of this cell." Outside, the heavy footsteps of soldiers echoed again. The humans heard distant orders: soldiers training, preparing weapons, and moving into battle formations. The arrival of 5,000 troops was no longer hours away. It was minutes. James looked at his crew. "We need a plan." Maya pulled out a small data chip hidden in her sleeve. "I managed to steal this from a guard. It contains codes for the holding area security." Tom's fingers danced over the small computer console in their cell. "If I can use this chip, I might be able to open the doors remotely." Suddenly, Alarms sounded throughout the ship. Intruders detected in the docking bay. A voice announced. James frowned. The real enemy is close. The mistake we made has brought more danger than we imagined. Maya clenched her fists. If we don't act now, we won't get another chance. Using the stolen codes, Tom hacked the cell lock. The heavy door hissed open. The crew slipped out silently, moving through dim corridors filled with patrolling soldiers. They avoided detection by hiding in shadows and using small vents and maintenance tunnels. Every step was dangerous. Finally, they reached the ship's armory. The humans grabbed what weapons they could: energy pistols, knives, and some grenades. It wasn't much against 5,000 soldiers, but it was better than nothing. James checked his pistol. We may be few, but we fight with heart. That's something they don't have. Suddenly, the ship shook violently. The Emperor's forces have arrived. A soldier shouted outside. The human crew took their positions near the hangar bay. They were ready to fight. James whispered, "This is only the beginning." Outside, thousands of armored soldiers marched forward, led by the fierce Captain Kale. The battle for survival had begun. The first clash. The hangar bay was vast and cold. Shadows danced on the walls as the distant footsteps of thousands of soldiers echoed through the ship. Captain Janes and his small crew stood ready, hearts pounding but faces calm. They knew the odds 5 against 5,000, but they had a plan and courage. Outside the thick bay doors, the heavy rumble of armored boots grew louder. The Emperor's soldiers were coming, led by their fierce captain. Their weapons gleamed under the harsh lights, and their faces were hidden behind cold helmets. James whispered, "Remember, hit their tech, disable their power sources. We don't need to kill them all, just slow them down." Maya nodded, her eyes sharp. "We fight smart." As the bay doors slid open, the first wave of soldiers stepped inside. They moved quickly, confident that the humans were no threat. But then, the humans struck. Tom lobbed an EMP grenade, and a bright pulse of energy spread across the floor. The soldiers' suits flickered and powered down for a moment. Confused, many stumbled. James fired his pistol, aiming for weak points in the armor. Maya used her knife with skill and speed, taking down soldiers before they could react. The few humans moved like shadows fast, precise and deadly. Captain Kale watched from the front, anger flashing in his eyes. "They are stronger than I expected," he growled. He raised his voice. "Press the attack. Bring down these pests." More soldiers poured in, but the humans had bought precious time. They retreated through the corridors, using traps and the maze-like layout of the ship to their advantage. Despite the overwhelming numbers, the humans' guerrilla tactics caused chaos among the Emperor's forces. Suddenly, alarms blared. The Emperor's soldiers were regrouping and reinforcements were coming. James knew this was just the start. "We can't hold them forever, but we've made our stand." Maya looked determined. "If we can reach the control room, we might turn their systems against them." The crew moved swiftly through the shadows, ready for whatever came next. Outside, the distant roar of the real enemy fleet approached, signaling that the true battle was about to begin. The humans had survived the first clash. Now, the fight for freedom had truly begun. The arrival of the captain. The ship's corridors hummed with tension. The small band of humans moved quickly but quietly, knowing that danger lurked around every corner. Their plan was simple but risky: reach the control room and take over the ship's systems. Suddenly, the heavy sound of footsteps echoed down the hall. The humans froze. Through the shadows, a tall figure appeared, Captain Kale himself. His armor was darker than the others, marked with symbols of power and fear. His eyes scanned the area, sharp and cold. "So, The pests are still alive, he said quietly, almost amused. James stepped forward, trying to appear calm. You don't have to do this. We never wanted war. Kale smiled, but it was a cruel smile. War was forced upon you the moment your ship crossed into my territory. You made a mistake, and now you will pay. The humans readied their weapons, but Kale raised a hand. I'm not here to fight you. Yet, he paced slowly. You are clever. You managed to disrupt my soldiers and slow us down. But I hold a secret that you don't know. James narrowed his eyes. What secret? Kale stopped and leaned closer, his voice low. My soldiers' power depends on an ancient artifact hidden deep in this ship. If I lose it, my entire army becomes weak, vulnerable. Maya whispered, Then that's where we need to go. Kale's smile vanished. You won't get far, and if you try, I will personally stop you. With that, he turned and disappeared into the shadows, leaving the humans with a chilling warning. James looked at his crew. We have to find that artifact. It's our only chance. Tom nodded. I can help locate it. I hacked part of the ship's database before. The humans moved swiftly, avoiding patrols and security systems. The path was dangerous, filled with traps and locked doors. But the thought of stopping Captain Kale's army gave them strength. Outside, the 5,000 soldiers waited, restless and eager for battle. Their captain's confidence was strong, but the humans were not afraid. They were fighting not just for themselves, but for all humanity. And the final battle was close. Asterisk. Turning the tide deep inside the Imperial warship, the humans moved like ghosts. Guided by Tom's hacked map, they reached a hidden chamber, a vault that glowed with strange energy. This was the artifact Captain Kale had spoken about. James whispered, This must be it. If we destroy or disable it, the Emperor's soldiers will lose their power. Maya carefully examined the glowing device. It looks like a crystal, but it's pulsing with energy. Suddenly, alarms blared. The artifact chamber locked down. Guards rushed in. Too late, James said, drawing his pistol. A fierce battle erupted. The humans fought fiercely, but more soldiers kept coming. Just as it seemed they might be overwhelmed, a strange thing happened. The artifact pulsed brightly. The energy surged, then exploded in a wave of light. The soldiers' suits flickered and went dark. They stumbled, confused and weak. Now, James shouted, push them back. With renewed hope, the humans pressed forward. The soldiers, powerless without the artifact, fell easily. Captain Kale, sensing the change, roared in anger. No, the artifact. He tried to reach it, but was stopped by James, who faced him in a final duel. Blows were exchanged, but James fought with all his strength and will. Finally, Kale was disarmed and forced to retreat. The tide of battle had turned. Outside the warship, the real enemy fleet approached, and Earth Command's reinforcements arrived at last. The humans had held long enough. They had stopped the Emperor's army, at least for now, but the war was far from over. Asterisk. Aftermath and new beginnings, the battle had ended. The once mighty Emperor's soldiers lay scattered and defeated. The great warship, now quiet and dark, floated in space like a ghost. Captain James and his crew stood on the bridge, tired but victorious. The artifact was destroyed, and the power of the Emperor's army was broken for now. Earth Command's reinforcements arrived, bringing fresh hope. Their fleet surrounded the warship, ready to protect the humans from any future attacks. James looked out at the stars, thinking of the long war ahead. This victory is just the start, he said softly. The Emperor will not forget this. Maya nodded. But we showed them humans are not weak. We fight not just with weapons, but with courage and heart. Tom smiled. And now we know their secrets. We can prepare better. News of their victory spread across the galaxy. Humans were no longer seen as weak scouts, but as fierce warriors who could face thousands and survive. But the real enemy, the one who sent the Emperor's soldiers, was still out there, waiting. James turned to his crew. We must stay ready. Our fight for freedom has only just begun. The stars shone brightly as the human fleet prepared to move forward, stronger and united. In the darkness of space, a new chapter was beginning, one where humans would rise and take their place among the stars. Asterisk.